actually push. I'm using the forward warp tool, and you can push things and adjust things the way that you want them. Alright, welcome back. We are going to continue this art piece right here using a grid, and just to recap, what we did is we imported our reference photo and we locked it so that we cannot accidentally paint over it or do any changes to it. Before we locked it, we actually moved it to the side, to the left side or right side, whichever side you want to put it on. And then we added another layer and we renamed it grid, and we drew a grid on top of the photo. And we made a duplicate layer on top of that, and a duplicate layer of the grid, and then we moved it over with the move tool, and then we created a new layer for drawing. So we made sure that the grid layers were locked, and we put the drawing layer underneath those two layers. So on the drawing layer we did a rough sketch, and now we're going to refine that sketch. So that's what we're going to do now. So what I'm going to do with the drawing is lower the opacity of that layer. Let's see if I can, there we go. And now what we can do, up here at the top, there's a feature right here, is the smoothing. This will help us draw smoother lines. So if you turn that on, I like to go up at 20%. And what we're going to do, we're going to create a new layer and make sure that layer is underneath the grid. And this will be our refined version of the lines we need. And let's make sure we have a small brush, make sure it's a small size, make sure that it's a hard brush to a degree, or you can, the hardness can be halfway or above. And then what we're going to do is make sure it's on a dark color, and we're going to start drawing. And we also have to make sure that the opacity for the brush at the top is on 100. I'm going to trace this. Okay. And you can always erase whenever, something looks off, or undo. And now, see, I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller for the inner details. And what I can do with the grid that's on top of the photo is actually lower its opacity, so I can see certain parts that I need to see to make the right lines. So I'm going to unlock it by clicking on the lock button on the layer and turning this down just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to lock it back so I don't mess with it anymore. I can also lower the opacity on the grid on top of my sketch. So I unlock it, lower the opacity, and lock it back and go back to my refined layer. Now you can lock the drawing, the one underneath the drawing layer, and you can lock that as well. So, all right. So now, if I want to get a closer look at the reference and a closer look at the sketch at the same time, I can go up to Windows, Arrange, and go to New Windows for the same document. So now we have two windows for the same document. And now we can go up to Windows, do vertical or horizontal. Vertical, and now we see two views of the same document. So what I'll do is zoom in to the photo reference, and over here I can zoom in on my sketch. So we can move freely where we are drawing, the drawing area. We can move freely, zoom in and out and everything, and we can move freely with the drawing reference on the other side. There we go. The brush settings, and just make sure that the pressure is correct. I always put on pen pressure when I'm doing lines. Okay, so let's go ahead. After you do the refining of the lines, you can also use the liquify tool when you want to adjust certain things on the on your sketch. You can use the filter and go to liquify, and you can actually adjust, and you have to make sure this layer is, selected, and you can actually push. I'm using the forward warp tool, and you can push things and adjust things the way that you want them. And click OK when you're done, and there you go. You have your new refined version of your sketch. So now we are ready to start painting. So with the original sketch, we can actually make that disappear by clicking the eye, so we no longer need to see it, and we only see our new sketch. So our lines are looking good. So in the next video, we're going to actually paint. So thank you for joining me. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And thank you for watching.